Charlie, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and some of the stuff they're sharing around the world on Newsfeed today. Is the increased surveillance of our lives a necessary trade-off for our increased safety during the outbreak? Hundreds of thousands on the move in India. Was the government there prepared when it announced the lockdown of 1.3 billion people? Amazon workers go on strike, saying the company owned by the world's richest man is not doing enough to protect them from Covid-19. And when the people stay in, the goats come out. We go to the Welsh town of Llandudno. And top of our newsfeed, surveillance in the times of coronavirus. There is a very real trade-off which all of us now have to face. Are we willing to sacrifice our digital privacy to adhere to government rules on social distancing? As billions of people are now living under lockdown measures, police and security services in nations all over the world are employing the type of surveillance tactics most feared by privacy advocates. But is it worth it if it saves lives? Here's Adama.
Smartphone technology might help us track the COVID-19 pandemic, but it could also do permanent harm to our privacy and digital rights. What price is worth paying to defeat the coronavirus outbreak? Is it worth giving up our privacy? While doctors and nurses are working hard on the front lines, governments around the world are increasingly using surveillance tactics to monitor the effectiveness of their lockdowns. China was the first to deploy drones, as well as smartphone tracking and facial recognition to make sure people weren't going out. Poland recently launched a home quarantine app so people under quarantine can send selfies to inform authorities that they're home. The app informs police if users fail to respond in 20 minutes. Now, the UK privacy watchdog says the government should have legal powers to use people's phone data to tackle the virus. Some police forces have launched online portals for people to report the details of those not abiding by stay-at-home orders. Digital rights activists say while technology is needed to save lives, these moves will potentially infringe on rights to privacy.
Governments around the world are demanding extraordinary new surveillance powers intended to contain the virus spread. Many would invade our privacy, deter our free speech, and disproportionately burden vulnerable groups of people. Governments must show that such powers would actually be effective, science-based, necessary, and proportionate.
Other privacy activists say it may be necessary to use available data to help control the pandemic.
I am not against fighting this epidemic with data or tech. The problem with implementing surveillance in an emergency is that it might acclimate people to that.
Anonymity is possible. Cornell University researchers have developed Opendemic, an app that allows users to share their locations and whether they're sick without giving their identities. They can also receive alerts for potential and verified coronavirus cases near them.
Because of the lack of test kits, we need to rely on self-reporting, and the idea here is to have a database that can be open to public health authorities, so they can use that data in addition to the data they already have to make decisions about the right interventions.
Researchers say this virus will be with us for months to come, and until and unless there is greater uniformity and clarity over how data rights are being handled, privacy rights might become another victim to COVID-19.
Let's take a look at some other COVID-19 related stories that you may have missed. Well, these are homeless people sleeping in a shelter, in inverted commas, in Las Vegas. The city had to close a 500-bed actual shelter with a roof and walls because someone there tested positive for COVID-19. The spaces have been drawn at 6 meters apart, the federally mandated social distance. Was House Party hacked? The app being used by loads of people to have virtual parties tweeted that it's offering $1 million reward for evidence of the intrusion. It says a smear campaign may have been run by a rival firm posting online claims which say downloading the app leads to other apps on your phone being hacked. House parties say this is not true and that the rumor was posted by a competitor. Twitter is doing its bit to reduce the fake news on the site by temporarily banning and removing tweets from a bunch of high-profile lie tellers. Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor of New York, was banned for spreading the lie that the drug hydroxychloroquine is 100% effective against COVID-19. It is not. President Jair Bolsonaro of Brazil had tweets removed for saying much the same thing. Nicolás Maduro of Venezuela had a tweet deleted after he said a special homemade drink could be an antidote. It is not. And Fox News talking head Laura Ingraham also had to delete a tweet for more falsehoods about drug treatments. Well, this is a painting by Vincent van Gogh, painting called The Parsonage Garden in Nieuwenan in spring 1884. It was stolen from a museum in the Netherlands yesterday that was closed due to COVID. It would have been the painter's 167th birthday. We're not sure this is the kind of gift he would have wanted. Lionel Messi and the rest of the Barcelona boys are taking a 70% wage cut during the outbreak. It's reported it could cost the Argentinian superstar $50 million, which is a lot of money, but not when you make $640,000 a week, so it's kind of the least he could do. Well, the attempted lockdown of 1.2 billion people in India has resulted in a huge wave of migration. The danger now is that the looming health crisis also causes a huge humanitarian one.
This video of migrant workers and their families in Uttar Pradesh has gone viral. People made to squat as they are sprayed with a disinfectant, which later turned out to be bleach. Thousands of workers are fleeing the big cities and returning to their villages. The mass migration, said to be the biggest since partition, began after India imposed a nationwide lockdown. Critics say Prime Minister Narendra Modi's decision was not properly planned and did not anticipate the exodus of India's poor.
Modi is shameless. First, he announces a relief package as if it is a gift out of his own generosity. Secondly, Nirmala Sitharaman says no one will go hungry in India under lockdown. 200 million people were starving before COVID-19.
Reports of people being beaten as they are bused to the countryside are widespread. Those who couldn't get a bus have been forced to travel thousands of kilometers on foot, sometimes with their families and often without any food.
There is no transportation. I have no food to eat and I have nothing.
Many are criticizing how the Indian government has treated the poor, while flying in more affluent people who were stranded abroad.
To all the rich and entitled Indians, please see and feel the lockdown, the displacement and the economic rut happening on poor 90% of people of this country. It has been brought up in India, those who travel back from infected countries, including religious travel, help them.
India has a population of more than 1.3 billion, and 60% of them live on less than $3 a day. The disparity is so stark that the country's richest 1% own more than half of India's wealth. As COVID-19 begins to transmit within the community, there's a risk that this health crisis will become a humanitarian one.
All right, we'll keep spinning around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Tuesday. Researchers in the United States say they have developed a new blood test which can detect 50 types of cancer. It's quite a revolutionary development for a treatment of a disease which kills millions each year. It was found to be most accurate, identifying 12 of the most deadly cancers. The test detects chemical changes to DNA. It may take years before it is widely available. The Netflix documentary The Tiger King, about a collection of strange big cat collectors in the US, has led to calls for more information about the disappearance of a man in 1997. One of the strange big cat collectors in the doco is Carol Baskin. Her husband vanished in 1997. Police want to know where he is and are asking the public to help. The protagonist of the doco is a man called Joe Exotic. He claims Carol Baskin killed her husband. Joe Exotic is currently in prison for paying for a hitman to kill Carol Baskin. The documentary really is one of the best things I have ever watched on Netflix. Antarctica had a heat wave in January. It's classified as 3 consecutive days where maximum temperatures are recorded. Between the 23rd of January and the 26th of January, the temperature reached 9.2 degrees. That's 6.9 degrees higher than the average for that time of year. The minimum temperature was also higher than ever recorded. The damage that this kind of man-made climate change is doing to the ecology of places like Antarctica is vast. Not only does it damage animal and plant life, it also leads to sea level rises, putting hundreds of millions of people at risk.
The most talked about concert on the planet was a weekend performance from someone who's been dead for 15 years.
Make some noise for Tupac!
And this is a documentary about the music festival Coachella. Some of the world's great musicians, Moby, Tom York, Madonna, Beyonce, Ice Cube, give their thoughts on the event, which was going to celebrate its 20th year this year. It's been cancelled because of COVID. The doco will stream for free on the 10th of April.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh no, I ain't messing with you. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, I'm not messing with you.
This is a local news reporter for NBC Montana. He's become internet famous because of this video. Apparently a herd of bison were walking towards him. His words have now been used by Yellowstone National Park on their new posters warning people against messing with bison. Now, many workers during this outbreak are risking their health to keep putting food on the table. So some who work for delivery firms and in the warehousing business for the world's richest man have gone on strike in the US.
With lockdowns keeping more than 1 billion people at home, online delivery services have become a lifeline. And it's piled on the pressure for online retail companies like Amazon and Instacart. In New York, staff at an Amazon warehouse walked out, demanding it be shut down.
My name is Heaven, and I walked out because Amazon lied. They told me there was 1 case in the building, and it's actually 11, so I don't feel safe.
Amazon has since fired the employee who led the walkout. Instacart workers are demanding $5 in hazard pay per order and a tip default on the app of at least 10%.
I make an average of about $200 a week working full-time, and my new job is to stay alive using my mask that I shop in and getting my hands on any hand sanitizer I can find.
They've received support from both Democratic presidential candidates. Amazon and Instacart are busy hiring new workers, trying to relieve the pressure. But even that has led to anger from some.
And if all Instacart did was just pay the 200,000 shoppers they have correctly now, they wouldn't have to hire 300,000 more, which is creating practically 500,000 potential asymptomatic and carrying vectors that might not have the proper utensils to do safe deliveries.
Workers in the warehousing and delivery business are finding themselves exposed, both financially and physically, to the COVID-19 pandemic. Most are employed on a casual basis, so if they don't go to work, they don't get paid. Now, they're stuck between turning up for their jobs and risking their health, or self-isolating and being unable to pay the bills.
And last up, with people not on the streets of one Welsh town in the UK, the local goats have decided it's their turn to take over. Now, this was filmed in Llandudno. They are a herd of Kashmiri goats who normally hang out on the hills. My South African program editor Louis says it's lucky it happened here and not where he is from, as these guys would have been straight on the braai, that is South African for barbecue. Fortunately for these ones, the Welsh are better known for singing than they are for sizzling delicious meat. And that will do from the Newsfeed team. Do reach out to me with your questions, comments, complaints and suggestions. You'll find me at Kamali Melbourne. You'll find us 24/7 on YouTube. Subscribe to that channel. Follow me on Twitter. Stay at home. Evdekal, wash your hands. Salikle Olsen. Stay safe. See you tomorrow.